Hi, I'm Anna Denton-Jones of Refreshing Law Limited, and in this video I want to think about the extent to which an employee might be entitled to be critical of policies that you might be introducing around gender inclusivity. There's been an increasing trend in the last year or so for organisations to have specific policies around LGBTQT plus employees, trying to recognise that employees might wish to use different pronouns, for example, than he or she, maybe drafting their policies in a more inclusive way, using we and you instead of gender language, things like that. So there's a possibility that whenever we introduce those sorts of policies, that there will be others who are critical and say, I don't believe in that. I believe, for example, there's a case where a Christian doctor who worked for the DWP was saying, I believe that gender is something that was assigned at birth, and we can't change that after that, and for that reason was refusing to address people by chosen pronouns, and was instead addressing them by what that individual would say was the wrong pronoun. So to what extent is the employer able to take action in those sorts of cases? Our starting point is the legislation around religion and philosophical belief. Interestingly, in the particular case involving the Christian doctor at the DWP, it wasn't argued on the basis of Christian religious belief. It was argued on the basis of philosophical belief. And the Granger case a few years ago established what the courts will be looking for when they're trying to decide if something is or isn't a philosophical belief. So they're looking as to whether the belief first is genuinely held by the person. That's going to come through in, cross-examination of them as a witness. They're going to look for it to be something that's weighty. They talk in terms of addressing a substantial aspect of human life and behaviour. It attaining a certain level of cogency, seriousness and importance, and something being worthy of respect in a democratic society. So, for example, all the people who answered I'm a Jedi on the last census are unlikely to be taken seriously. They're going to look as to whether this belief is similar in its status to a religious belief. They will look at whether it's a political belief. Support of a particular political party isn't necessarily going to give you protection, but, for example, belief in socialism has been found to be something that's worthy of protection. A belief in Marxism or free market capitalism would equally be protected. And it may be something that's based on science. So Darwinism, for example, might receive protection. Recently, we've seen that a belief in climate change is protected, and those who choose to live their life as a vegan may also find that their beliefs are protected. What the courts are doing when they're looking for those type of philosophical beliefs is trying to balance that person's beliefs against the fundamental rights of other people and other people's human dignity. So quite often the law will say, we don't have a problem with you having a belief, and we might find that that belief is something that is capable of protection by the law. But if the way you manifest that belief starts to have a negative impact on other people, that's where you're likely to get unstuck. The law isn't likely to protect you. So, for example, in the case of Liddell, who was a responsible for civil partnerships as a registrar, and with her Christian beliefs said, I don't want to marry or join together those two people as civil partners, she got herself into difficulty, not because she was holding that belief. The law says you're entitled to hold that belief, but it's about how you manifest it. So if you're manifesting it in a way where you're refusing to follow a reasonable instruction of your employer, for example, then the law isn't going to protect you. So if you have set out a policy that says we respect the gender that people present themselves to us as customers, for example, and we will use the chosen pronouns of that person, and we will, respect that, and somebody refuses to do that, then potentially that is a disciplinary issue and something you could choose to address. The law will permit them to hold their belief, but the law will have an issue with the way in which they've then manifested that. Now, obviously, this is an area that's subject to shifting sands in terms of what might happen in the future, because we're going to have more and more, if you like, competing rights that the law is going to have to find its way through. But hopefully that gives you an illustration of how the jigsaw fits together. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me, adenton at refreshinglawltd, that's all one word, .co.uk. Thank you very much.